Hi, this is Paul Hoyt. Welcome to our office hours presentation for today. Our office hours presentation is a relaxed, informal mentoring program that I do almost every Monday at noon Pacific time. And this recording is available online for a few days, and then all the recordings are archived in our members area. And this is office hours number 29. The reasons I've been doing these for the last 6 months, 7 months or so is because, frankly, I just love small business owners, and I know that being a successful business owner can be a great experience, but I also know it's very tough. You need the training, you need mentoring, coaching, and advice, and I want you to get to know me, because when you get to know me, you'll know that I really do care about you, and I really do want you to succeed, and I've been around the block a number of times over the last 40 years or so. The agenda for our office hours presentations are the same. We have an in-depth discussion of a business success principle. I make some closing remarks, some special offers, an invitation for next week's session. And speaking of that, today we have some really great special offers for you, and I'm really excited about next week's presentation as well. And after we make those offers, then we have opens, questions, and answers. Before we get started today, I want to encourage you to join our Facebook group called the Brilliant Business Group. It's an opportunity for you to ask questions and get them answered throughout the week. And in fact, our presentation today is based on one of the questions that a client asked me in the Brilliant Business Group. So who knows, if you just post something there and get my support and the support of other members in the group, who knows, maybe next week or the week thereafter, I might do a full 20 or 40-minute presentation on a subject that is of most interest to you. And if you have attended or listened to 4 of these office hours presentations or more, then I want to speak with you personally. Give me a call at 415-997-8001, or just go to schedulepaul.com and pick a time for a quick conversation. I have a great offer for you, one that you cannot refuse, but that's available to people who have attended 4 or more of these presentations. Today's presentation is on the cautious explorer, navigating new territory. I always try to relate the subject of the presentation back to the key performance areas, and there are 7 of them that I outlined in my first book, The Foundation Factor, from 2004, from leadership and sales and marketing to product development, operations administration, financial management, and customer service or delivery. In this particular office hours presentation really impacts the area of leadership, because as a leader for your company, it's your responsibility to take the point on the patrol. It's your responsibility to forge ahead and bring the team with you into new territory that you're going to find, every day in your business. But so today's office hours presentation isn't just about leadership, it's about all of the key performance areas, because you never know where your new territory is going to be. And my new territory might not be the same as your new territory, but even after 40-some years of business experience, nearing 50 years of business experience, I started selling tacos at a local taco stand when I was 14 years old, so it's coming up on 50 years here pretty quick. After 50 years of business experience, I still find myself going out and doing things that I haven't done before, getting into new territory in each one of these areas of business. So on this subject today, our agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about the challenge of new territories. We're going to talk about the 3 expert rule, studying and learning that can be helpful to you when you get into a new territory, coaching and mentoring, and whether you want to tiptoe into a new territory or dive into that. So let's get started with the challenge. I find that most business owners, including myself, find that we're out of our comfort zone a lot when it comes to business, especially in the early days of business. And it's often surprising to us. Oftentimes we look up and say, oh my goodness, this is a new thing. I apparently haven't been here before. We discover a weakness. We discover a gap. We discover a challenge, usually in the context of a problem, a significant problem that's coming up for us. There's just a fantastic amount to learn. There's a lot to learn about being a business owner. I often say that business owners almost always take the job of being a business owner without knowing what the job is. And that means there's a lot of new territory to explore. Here's some examples of that. Public speaking. Some business owners are surprised to learn that they now need to learn to speak in public. talking to bankers and other money professionals. You may not have had the opportunity to sit down with a banker and talk about a business loan or a line of credit or installment loan or a SEP IRA or any of the other things that you might talk to your banker about. Talking to potential investors is a huge challenge for many business owners, to learn how to speak the language, to learn how to just be comfortable sitting across the table from somebody who you know is worth $100 million. And it takes quite a bit of self-esteem and self-image work for many people. Negotiating and managing large contracts is new territory for many folks. Even those who have been in corporate America for dozens of years find that they never had to negotiate or manage exceptionally large contracts by themselves. So when they get into business, that's new territory. A big common new territory is learning to be a great person. It is a block for many business owners and becomes new territory for them to even understand the importance of sales and then to get the appropriate training and guidance in sales so that they can become a great salesperson. Hiring and managing employees can be a new challenge for other people. Even if you've worked in corporate America, almost always you've got guidance from an HR department on what the job agreement should be, on help with the job descriptions, on help through the hiring and interviewing process and the compensation setting process, and in the managing process. There are some business owners out there who just cannot hire and manage employees successfully. That becomes new territory for them. Business taxes and licenses, until you have a business, you have no idea what it means to have a business tax or to pay business licenses or to make sure that you're in compliance with all of the agencies who might have some sort of regulatory authority over your particular type of business. And the last one on this list is working internationally. Some people in the corporate America get an opportunity to go overseas in the context of their positions, but many of us do not. I see many people who are starting out to have consumer products, and they find out that one of the critical success principles right away is being able to find suppliers that are overseas and negotiate and manage those contracts. The bottom line is that there is new territory in each one of the key performance areas. For some of you, for most of you, it's going to be in the area of marketing, social media marketing and advertising, and how to develop marketing campaigns and websites and landing pages and lead generation strategies and everything that goes into marketing. For some of you, it's going to be sales. It's going to be understanding, what a sales process is like, what a sales script is like, how you develop trust and rapport with other people and find out what their problems are. For some of you, it's going to be in the areas of leadership, taking 100% responsibility for your business. I can go on, and in fact, I do go on and on in my program, Beyond Business Survival, about the success principles in each one of these areas. And my guess is that for every new business owner out there, even for some experienced business owner, that there are dozens of new territories that they're being asked to delve into that they never had the chance to delve into before. One of the key ways of dealing with new territories is something I call the 3 expert rule. The 3 expert rule is pretty simple. First of all, you talk to 3 experts. Then you compare their advice. And if that advice is consistent, if each one of these folks that you believe is an expert in this particular area is consistent in their advice, then you're in luck. Frankly, it doesn't often happen. Whether the experts be lawyers or be doctors or be marketing advisors or business strategists, when you listen to the advice of 3 different experts, they are oftentimes inconsistent. If they disagree, then you decide whether you're comfortable taking the majority advice or the minority advice. Let me give you an example. I was on a homeowners association board of directors a couple of years ago, and we had some issues with some trees, and so we applied the 3 expert rule. We brought in 3 professional tree arborists to come in and give us some advice on how we should trim the trees or take the trees down and what we could expect in terms of root damage and that sort of thing. 2 of them agreed and 1 of them didn't agree. But the one that didn't agree with the other 2 was the one whose advice we took, because his was the most credible. And when we did research, then we found out that the one who was in the minority opinion was the one who we felt like was most accurate, and that was the advice we took. If the three had been totally disagreeing with each other and we were not able to have some sense of comfort, then we would have gone on to the next step of the three-expert rule, which is to ask three more experts. But it's important for you to do what I did when it came to evaluating the advice that the experts gave, and that is to evaluate the experts themselves. First, you listen to what they have to say. Then you read their books and their blogs and their website and find out what other people have to say about them. Testimonials, Yelp reviews, those sorts of things, to make sure that you know that this person really is an expert in the area in which you need the support. Check their references, not only the references that they give to you, but check the references that you find on your own. Because almost anybody that's been in business for 6 months or a year can come up with 3 references. Sometimes we buy those references. Sometimes we get the references from our best friends. Sometimes it's a reciprocal engagement. But almost everybody can come up with 3 pretty good references for their products and services. So be sure to look behind the curtain. Be sure to lift the veil a little bit and talk to people who have done business with them, who they have not given as references, and search those testimonials. You'll find out a tremendous amount. Some people, have a love-hate relationship with their clients. They get along with 50% of them, but 50% of them they don't get along with. My general rule of thumb is that it's about, if you're really, really good at what you do, if you really care about your clients and you deliver a high-quality product or service, you can have about a 98 or a 99% customer satisfaction rate. And if you have some sense that the experts that you're talking to don't have a really high customer satisfaction rate, then you might not really want to take their advice as strongly as you do the advice of other people. Focus on the outcomes and results, the actual results that people had from using an expert's products and services whenever you talk to them, not just on the process itself. It is important that the process of working with somebody is very comfortable for you and inspiring for you and really makes you feel good about yourself and the decision that you made to do business with them. But it's really important that they actually deliver outcome and results too. So focus on that when you evaluate the experts. Here's one that you're not going to hear very often. I say watch out for arrogance and rudeness, and here's the reason why. Because as I have grown in my own business and in my own life, I become not only a more confident person, but I also become a more compassionate and humble person. True experts to me are not rude or arrogant or boastful. To me, those are just ways of masking one's insecurity and inner fears. True experts to me are typically soft-spoken. They can be very confident and bombastic at times, but getting them alone one-on-one, you should find out that they're both confident and humble and compassionate too. My antennas start buzzing. I have a tendency to be a little bit skeptical when somebody comes across as being arrogant and rude. That's because I want to feel the connection. I want to make sure that I've got a connection with an expert, and I want to make sure that they are really focused on my bottom line, not just their bottom line. And it's about the results that they will provide for me, not the money that they're getting from my checks or credit cards out there. So I strongly advise you that when you apply the 3-expert rule to evaluate the experts using this process or some other process that you have, and take that into consideration whenever you're evaluating the strength of the advice that they give you. When you're also forging into new territory, I strongly recommend that you study. You can study through networking with other people. You can study by doing internet research. You can study by reading books. You can study by purchasing and consuming information products. And you can get your education, or actually that's studying on 2 different levels. One of the levels is foundational education, and the other level is actual training. So, for example, if your new area is in sales, and you may want to just do an hour or 2 worth of internet research on the art and science of sales so that you can have some of that foundational knowledge in place so that you can more effectively evaluate training programs and more effectively evaluate the experts with whom you come into contact. I think that foundational expertise is really necessary. And as I mentioned before, there are two different levels there, education and training. And to me, education comes first, grounding in the principles, like taking driver's education. We started out with the books and the simulators and the classroom or instructor-led training before you ever get behind the wheel of a car. It's like ground school for pilots. I don't think anybody would ever suggest that you jump into the pilot's seat and just go down the runway and attempt to take off without that basic education in the principles of flight and the principles of air traffic control and airport protocol, those sorts of things. You need to have driver's education before you drive. You need to take ground school before you learn to fly. That education is really, really foundational. And then once you get the foundational education, then go to the training. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of some of the best trainers, educators that I've ever seen in my life. The first one is John Wooden, the Wizard of Westwood. John Wooden is widely regarded to be one of the best basketball coaches of all time. His teams won 8 out of 10 championships in college basketball in the 60s and early 70s or so. He was fantastic. He went to UCLA and was at UCLA for 16 years before he won his first national championship. And his approach to teaching this great talent that he's able to recruit and mold them into championship teams was pretty simple. He started out focusing on the fundamentals of dribbling and passing and shooting, and getting those down right before he went to any sort of trick plays. In fact, I don't know that they had anything that would resemble a trick play except for their famous full court press that they had, which was devastating to most teams out there. The Wizard of Westwood started out by saying, focus on the fundamentals. Another famous coach, Vince Lombardi, had a famous saying of whenever he started his training camp each year, he would hold up a football and say, gentlemen, this is a football, talking to people who had been playing football for a long time. But he started out on the fundamentals of football, which were blocking and tackling and passing and catching. Started out with the very basic fundamentals and focused on those fundamentals before they moved on to anything that was specialized from that. And just like Vince Lombardi said, gentlemen, this is a football, I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, this is your business. And the fundamentals of business are about leadership, marketing, sales, financial management, operations and administration, product development, and customer service. This is your business. And as you step out into new territory, into each one of these key performance areas of business, I encourage you to think about education, training, and then think about the coaching and mentoring that you need in each one of those areas. This is another great way of going out of your comfort zone and becoming proficient and competent in something that you haven't done before. It's to get one-on-one coaching. It's to get small group coaching and community coaching so that you can get the support that you need at all three levels, one-on-one, small group, and community in your business, especially when you're going into a new territory. Get yourself some trail guides and get yourself a party. You know, they used to have travel parties, and you can have, so I'd like you to think about that as a party too. That when you have small group support, to think about that as something that's fun and festive and can be a party as you grow out there. Finally, I want to talk about tiptoeing or diving in, because for some of you, tiptoeing into a new area, just beginning to explore it in a way that's very comfortable for you, is the way that you learn best. If you jump in too quickly, you get way out of your comfort zone, it becomes a risk or a dive for you, and you shut down. So don't do that if you're a tiptoer. If you're a tiptoer, then by all means do that. Some other people like to dive in. I like both of them. I like sometimes the right thing to do is do cautious exploration of new territory, and sometimes, for me, it seems like the right thing to do is to just dive in. So my encouragement to you is if you're making the kind of progress that you really want to make, whatever you're doing, just keep it up. Just keep making progress every single day. But if you're not making the progress that you really want to make, then you got to face your fear and dive in. And by the way, some things you can't just tiptoe into. Here's an example of that. Public speaking. You can sit in your chair all you want, and you can rehearse your speech all you want, and you can practice in front of a mirror all you want, which are different ways of tiptoeing. But at some point in time, you've got to get up in front of your audience. Maybe you join Toastmasters or some other speaking organization out there, which makes it very possible for you to kind of tiptoe in a diving in kind of way. So the first time you give a speech, it's before 15 or 20 people who are very, very friendly to you, can make it easy for you, and then that in itself is a dive in, and you can do that in kind of a combination tiptoeing and diving in way until you get out and have the opportunity to speak in front of an audience where where they don't know you, and where there may be a lot more of them, and you don't know whether or not you're going to get a heckler or all supporters in the audience. So here's the bottom line. Exploring things can be very, very exciting. I think exploring new things is very addicting. I know that I feel really good about myself whenever I learn to do something new, whenever I learn to do something at all. And you can experience great joy while you're being uncomfortable. When you're out of your comfort zone, it can be thrilling and exciting, like riding roller coasters or bungee jumping or jumping out of perfectly good airplanes. It can be very exciting while you are experiencing a little fear or stress and discomfort. And I have this theory that says that being a business owner is mostly about the excitement of doing something you've never done before. It's mostly about getting out there into this new territory and learning something you haven't learned before, and picking up a new skill set and doing something you haven't done before, because it's very exciting and enhances our self-image and self-esteem. It really causes us to grow in confidence and strength, and along the way, grow in a little bit of humility too. So here's another way of looking at the bottom line. While going into this new territory can be very exciting for you, learning on your own means that you're going to make a lot more mistakes. You're going to take a lot more arrows in the back when you're a pioneer without a wagon train with you. And frankly, you're going to lose a lot of money. So as I always say, that going in business is challenging enough. Make it a little bit easier on yourself by having a process by which you go into new territory, by adopting the habits of studying and learning and getting that foundational education so that you can talk to the experts, so you can get the training programs that you need in order to build competency in that new area for you. And for more information, I encourage you to go back and listen to Office Hours 14. This is a related Office Hours called Old Dogs and New Tricks, where I talk about the challenge of learning, the learning formula, the learning curves, forming habits, levels of competence, steps to learning, and the learning pyramid. So if this Office Hours presentation was meaningful for you in some way, then I strongly encourage you to join the Office Hours library and go back and review Office Hours 14, which was on general how we learn and how we pick up new habits. So that was the agenda for today. I wanted to talk about the challenge of new territories and small businesses, talk to you again about the 3 expert rule, the importance of studying and getting coaching and mentoring whenever you're out of your comfort zone, and whenever you go into new territory. And we talked a little bit about how we tiptoe or dive in. So here's your homework or your exercises. First of all, focus on using the 3 expert rule this week sometime. This week sometime, explore a little bit of new territory and find 3 experts in that new territory, evaluate them using the process that we talked about, and see what they have to say, and then make some decisions based upon what your experts tell you. I encourage you to make progress every single day and dive in when you can. When you find that it's time to dive in, when you're feeling courageous or when you're feeling stuck, my encouragement for you is to just dive in and try something new that you haven't tried before to get experience in that. I also encourage you to strongly encourage you to invest in the education, training, and the mentoring that is available for you. Experts are everywhere. There are lots of marketing experts, legal experts, medical experts, business strategy experts. There's a lot of people out there who can bring significant value to your business by being a part of your team, and I strongly encourage you to build out that team and find those experts and have those conversations with them. Here in just a minute, we're going to have open questions and answers, which we invite you to have comments and questions on the topic of the day, and then any other issues which may be coming up for you. I really want to know what your biggest takeaways are from today's presentations and what insights that you may have gained. And I want you to tell me what you're going to focus on this next week, because I really like to bring value to folks. And then post that in the Brilliant Business Group, the Facebook group out there. The programs that I have to offer come in 3 different flavors: the consultant coaching programs, my library membership program, and my Beyond Business Survival program. I want to talk about those for just a second. With services, I'm immediately available for private mentoring, strategic plans, business plans, and financial models. You can have a world-class business plan in your hands in a matter of 3 or 4 weeks. You can have a world-class financial model in your hands in a matter of just a couple of days through employing my services. Those services start as low as just a couple of $100. I try to have a broad portfolio of services so I can support you in your business wherever you are in your business and whatever your budget is for your business. I also encourage you to join the Paul Hoyt Library program and become a member of that, where we have all of our office hours recordings, this one and 28 previous ones, and in addition to that, dozens of other business documents, templates, spreadsheets, processes, and agreements, some bonus inspirational messages, and we're adding to this library every single week. The Paul Hoyt Library has 3 pricing options for you: the $279 one-time payment, or $79 annual payment, or just $9.38 a month to come back and gather access to all of the material that's in the library. My Beyond Business Survival program is that critical small business owner training. It's what you need to know when you're the CEO, because I've worked with hundreds of business owners and I've seen them make mistakes that slow them down or shut them down, mistakes that can cost them $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 or more, and I have made plenty of these mistakes myself. So I encourage you to learn from the experts, and I encourage you to learn from other people so that frankly, you don't have the time and you don't have the money to make all these mistakes on your own. It really serves you well to learn from other people. The Beyond Business Survival program is really a do-it-yourself business growth program where with step 1, you download the workbook and the transcripts. Step 2, you go through the program and discover ways that you can significantly grow your revenues, increase your profits, and reduce your risk. And then step 3 is you prioritize your insights, and step 4 is you take action. And frankly, none of this stuff is worth anything unless you take action. But having great confidence that you have a great plan in place and you've got ideas that will really save you or make you a lot of money is fantastic motivation for taking the action that you have to take in your business. The Beyond Business Survival program is only $497. Today, we're giving it with a bonus, so it includes a lifetime membership in the Paul Hoyt Library, which is a $279 value. And for a limited time, you can get the introduction and the module on leadership, the first of the key performance areas, for free. So give me a call or reach out to me and we'll get you set up for that program, because I want you to experience this training. And I believe strongly that if you'll listen to the introduction and experience that, and listen to the first module on leadership, that you'll gain such tremendous value that you'll want to go through the rest of the program as well. I also encourage you to join me on Facebook as a personal friend by liking my Paul Hoyt business page, or by joining the Brilliant Business Group, where we mentor and support each other every single week. And you'll get your energy of the day. That's my daily inspirational message that I've been putting out now for about 115 days or so, I believe. And we'll continue for the next 1,500, I think. The next office hours will be on April 21st, 1 week from today, and I am very excited about the topic of this. It's based on a book by Paul Ahlstrom and Nathan Furr called Nail It, Then Scale It, which is the new way of creating businesses. First, we nail the business model and nail the interaction with the client, and then we scale it. So I'll be talking about success principles that they outline in that book next week, and I'm very excited about that. The reason I'm excited about it is because I want my clients and I want my friends who are business owners to be more successful, and I believe this is a tremendous way to increase your growth rates and increase your probability of success. I also want you to let me know what topics that you would like to see for me to address on future issues of Office Hours. So go to paulssurvey.com and do your homework in between now and the next session. We're going to jump into the open questions and answers here in just a second, where we got comments and questions on the topic of the day, and then any other issues. Remind you to give me your takeaways and insights. Go to paulssurvey.com to give me ideas for future Office Hours presentations, and you can contact me personally, paul@paulhoyt.com, or give me a call, or go to schedulepaul.com and schedule your free 15 to 30-minute sessions where we can talk about your business and ways that I might be able to support you in achieving your goals and your dreams for your business. Thank you for your kind listening there. Now it's time for you to talk and ask questions, and time for me to support you in a kind of an ad hoc way. So with that, we're going to open it up to questions and answers. Audra, do we have any questions for today?
Paul, we have kind of a quiet group, but Richard muted a question. Richard asks, would you be able to rank order the professions for the 3 experts rule? Common ones are law and tax. Getting the experts to thoroughly explain their reasoning is critical, I think. Do you agree? Unmuted.
I don't know if I understand the questions quite right. If the first question was on how do I rank the professions out there in terms of expertise, you know, I think that any profession that requires doctoral level certification in order to practice is, almost by definition, those people are experts. So those could be medical professionals, you know, medical doctors or clinical psychologists, professionals in that range. It certainly could be the attorneys who are required to have a 3 or 4 year education beyond the bachelor's degree, in essence getting their doctors of jurisprudence and passing the boards, as do medical doctors have to do. You know, those are the ones which I would consider to have the most expertise. Other ones out there would be professional engineers, architects, anything that requires a doctoral level education beyond, and then a certification program for that would be ones that I would consider to be the most experts out there. Although I would say that that kind of just gives somebody the privilege of practicing that profession. My experience with other people that I've met, marketing strategists, business strategists, they can be just as expert in their particular area, especially when you have, you know, a lot of experience behind that. You get somebody with, you know, 10 years of experience, 20 years of experience, 30 years of experience, and I would consider them to be as expert in their field as I would somebody who is fresh out of medical school who just passed their boards. So I'm not sure if that answered the question or not. Feel free to ask it again in a different way if I didn't address that. But I do really think that people, the fields that require the most expertise are those who our country has decided needs to have regulation and certification, and those are professional engineers, architects, psychologists, medical doctors, and attorneys. So thank you for the question. Next, Audra.
So Richard did ask to clarify. Richard did give a clarification of his question. He says, let me clarify the first part of the question. Which professions are the most important to get 3 opinions from?
Well, I would say that's where you have the most risk. Medical doctors. Legal, it's hard to get 3 opinions from attorneys without paying for the opinions. But it might be worth it in just to pay for an hour's worth of an attorney's time. Oftentimes you can get 15 or 30 minutes of an attorney's time for free, but you may want to pay for an hour of time depending on what your risk is. So for example, if you're facing a huge lawsuit, if you have the opportunity to propose litigation for yourself, or you have the opportunity to defend yourself when somebody else has served you with a lawsuit. Those are typically very high dollar, high risk engagements. You may want to do the 3-expert rule very quickly there to make sure that you found somebody who you think is an absolute expert in supporting you in your legal matters and somebody that you can connect to. Oftentimes with medical questions, when you're not really sure about the program of treatment, or if it's an extremely high-risk issue, you definitely want to get a second opinion and a third opinion, because experts do not agree. That's I think one of the biggest learning things of my lifetime is to understand that experts don't always agree. When you're growing up in elementary school and in high school, I mean, there's no really disagreement on what the periodic table's all about, or whether 2 + 2 = 4, or what makes a complete sentence. There's no real disagreement. It's only when you get into the more esoteric things that disagreement starts showing up as to what the best program of treatment, what the best course of action is, what the best strategy is. That's when it starts showing up, as a little bit later on in life. So anything where there's a lot of dollars at stake or a lot of risk for yourself personally or in your business would be areas in which I would definitely apply the 3-expert rule. Next question, Audra.
Paul, I actually have a suggestion.
Okay.
I have never used this, but my brother and sister-in-law swear by this. They are what I fondly term as slumlords. They have an account at Angie's List, and it's something that they pay for, but they say they get really good insights into how a business or a service operates by reading the reviews on Angie's List.
That is a great example of looking for testimonials and references other than the ones that your expert hands you. So experts can and will hand you stellar testimonials, and they should be able to do that. But Angie's List and Yelp are places that you can go to find unsolicited, oftentimes, opinions from other people who have had experience doing business with this person. Yeah, so thank you for that. Other questions?
Yep, so in general, Paul, what are the most common new territories for small business owners?
Most common, I think, are marketing and sales. What I find with small business owners is that they oftentimes come from success in corporate America, success in working for somebody else. And oftentimes that it means success in managing a staff. It may mean success in project management or operations management. It almost always means success in one or more particular areas of business. But it almost never does somebody jump into business with adequate marketing and sales experience and expertise. Oftentimes, people jump into business thinking that those things are trivial, and they're far from being trivial. The key performance areas are like links of a chain. If you've got a chain with 7 links in it, and 1 or 2 of those links is very weak, then the chain itself is not very strong. And that's a good way of looking at your business as well. You have to at least be competent in each one of the areas of business in order to have a successful business. And the areas in which I think it's most common that people have no experience or extremely little experience is marketing and sales. So the first step then is to figure out what marketing and sales are all about with foundational education programs like the ones that I offer, and then begin to network around and begin to talk to marketing professionals, and begin to talk to sales professionals, and be able to talk to sales training professionals, and begin to get a little bit of experience in that area so that you can have intelligent conversations, so that you can apply the 3-expert rule and then begin to interview people who may be able to help you out in marketing, or interview people who may be able to give you some sales training so that you can begin to develop expertise in those areas. But those are the 2 most common by far is marketing and sales. The one that's right behind that and not very far behind that is financial management. I find that a lot of business owners, they have a tendency to be highly creative people, and sometimes that does not go into the areas of cash flow management and credit policy management. it's really can be an area where people have very little experience and which can cost them a lot of money. And by the way, when I talk about the key performance areas of leadership, marketing, sales, financial management, operations, those are in sequence. Those are in sequence in the areas in which I think that people most oftentimes needs the support. Leadership is most important, followed by marketing, followed by sales, followed by financial management, and then the other key performance areas. So hopefully that was helpful. Any more questions, Audra?
So we actually have a little bit of a follow-on.
Okay.
Richard says that Glassdoor is another great program like Yelp and Angie's List, which I'd never heard of. So thank you, Richard.
Yeah, thank you for that. I have used Glassdoor once or twice, or I've heard of it before, but it hasn't reached my awareness enough to be on the top of that list. But I'll take a look at that again, and I encourage everybody listening to this call to also look at Glassdoor as well. Thanks, Richard. Any other questions, Audra?
As a business owner, As a business owner, monitoring Yelp, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, etc. can reveal hidden problems in your own enterprise. They can also reveal troubles in businesses who might want to be your vendors or customers. Paul, what has been your experience with these things, if you have any?
Very, very little. I haven't, and that's something that I haven't done, and perhaps this is new territory for me. So even this old dog has to learn a new trick every once in a while. New territory for me would be monitoring that. Angie's List, Yelp, Glassdoor, and anything that people may be saying about me and my business online. So I haven't been doing that. I think it would be very important for you if you sense, especially if your business was a little bit larger and perhaps if you didn't have, first touch with your clients. For small businesses, micro businesses, typically the owner of the business has a personal relationship with all of their clients. I think it's a little bit easier to stay in touch that way. As your business grows and you have $1 million or $5 or $10 million in revenue, it's just not possible for the owners of the business and the executives of the business to have that first-hand contact with their customers. And relying on surveys and the conversations with your quality assurance department may not be enough. At that point in time, it'd be really important to listen to Twitter, to watch what's being said on Facebook and the comments that you have there, and on LinkedIn and those other sites that we mentioned as well. So I guess the bottom line, the short answer to that is I don't have a lot of experience with that, and I think the reason is because I have a very close relationship with all of my clients, and I pretty much know when something's going well and when something is not. Next question, Audra.
This one is possibly a little off topic, but still relevant.
Okay.
Can you tell us more about what the financial plan you mentioned might look like?
Financial modeling is one of the services that I provide, and I provide that at a couple of different levels. There's a real basic financial, what I call a quick financial model, which is essentially a quick budget for the next 6 or 9 months. And usually I deliver that as part of my small business success package, which is the most common way that I engage with customers for the first time. But I'm also an expert when it comes to financial projections and financial modeling for investor-grade financial statements that would go at the end of a business plan or would really be necessary to really judge, what this business intends to do over the next 3 to 5 years. That's a much longer, more expensive project that takes 6 to 8 hours of us working together over the internet and using online collaboration tools in order to develop those investor-grade financial projections. In my case, that means a full 36 months, month-by-month P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow statement, because when you do those 3 kinds of financial reports, in common with each other and integrated with each other, that's when you really find out how much cash it's going to take to grow a business, and you really find out where your high profit product lines are, and you can make adjustments in your business model before you go out there and really start spending a lot of money to come up with a highly profitable business model. And it's a great way for setting your targets and setting your expectations for yourself and for other people too. So if you have any interest in that financial modeling, to learn more about it, please just give me a call. or go to schedulepaul.com. I'd be happy to have a higher conversations, deeper conversations, and show you some examples of the work that I've done for others in the past. And thank you for the question. Next, Audra.
Paul, I think that's it.
All right. Well, let's just open it up. We've got a little bit of time now, another 10 minutes, so I'm going to banter here for just a little bit. I'm going to open it up and ask if you have questions on anything else in business. Now's your chance to ask them, business or life. I'll always open it up to that too, because most of you know that in addition to being a business consultant, I'm also a passionate advocate for personal and spiritual growth. And just as I have written books in the area of small business ownership, I've written books in the areas of getting your act together or becoming a stronger, wiser, happier person too. So I'll open it up to that. And talk a little bit about next week, because I'm really excited about the next week's presentation, or Nail It, Then Scale It. I want to do a special promotion on that. For those of you who are attending the call live or listening to this recording, I really, really encourage you to go to next week's presentation, because I'm very excited about the quality of the advice that I got in this book when I took a look at it. It's very exciting, and I know that you're going to get a lot of value from that presentation on the new art and science of innovating and growing businesses in America. In preparation for that, by the way, if that's of interest to you, I want to make sure that you listen to the previous office hours that I did on the Lean Startup methodology, which is a variation on the Nail It and Scale It attitude that can be most helpful to you as well. So while I was bantering there, Audra, did we have any other questions come in?
Paul, nope. They're all quiet as church mice. However,
yes,
I did want to remind everyone that you do have that amazing offer for the free leadership section of
thank
the
you.
program.
Thank you. I really want you to do this. This is a new marketing approach for us. You know, this is new territory for us. So I strongly encourage you to take advantage of it. Just send me an email, give me a call, and we'll get you set up right away so that you can see and listen to and get the experience of the introduction to the Beyond Business Survival program and what I consider to be the most important of all of the key performance areas, the area on leadership. So give me a call, send me an email, and we'll get you set right up so that you can experience this for yourself and gain value from that. And with that, I think we will sign off for the day and say thank you very much for attending live or listening to the recording. This has been Paul Hoyt, and I'm wishing you a most marvelous and prosperous day. Goodbye.